Now, there's so many phrases that could be a text here. I'm torn between two, so you can make your choice. But I followed the Lord my God, and the other, give me this mountain. So probably I'll be going from one to the other. The theme of seeking God is what we have. So each message I have is in a different part of the Bible. It's either a verse or a character in their spiritual pilgrimage. And tonight we have Caleb. And in Joshua 14, verse 8, we have, but I followed the Lord my God. Now the theme of seeking God is a beautiful phrase, the pursuit of God. And this is why we are here tonight and in a prayer meeting, because we desire whatever else anybody else wants in life. We want God, and we want to walk in the ways of God and to seek him in every circumstance. In reality, this begins at that first touch of grace of regeneration to the final redemption of body and soul. But usually we understand the initial part where the soul is awakened. No doubt he found that he belonged to God in some stage in his life, yet he had a pilgrimage ahead of him. And what a pilgrimage it was. During our earthly life, there are so many hindrances. You sure would agree with that? Sometimes there are obstacles. You can say it's like an obstacle race. Things that really you don't know how you're going to cope and survive spiritually or be an example spiritually to your family. Sometimes we are faced with a period of coldness of heart. Sometimes we have to regret the years the locusts have eaten, years we have wasted. Sometimes we have allowed a bitter spirit to come into our hearts that puts us totally out of action and out of touch with God. Then sometimes we rise up like eagles and we are in full flight again. That's something about all of us, I suppose. Now, Caleb is a good man. He persevered in the wilderness. He had every reason to be hurt. He had every reason to feel remote and separated from his brethren. They had opposed him. He had been truthful and realistic, and yet the others put fear into the hearts of the people. It is a story of perseverance, of endurance, and honoring God and being honored by God. But whatever anyone else chose to do, he chose to follow God. An illustration came to me, probably used it many times, I don't know. In our spiritual pilgrimage, if you had to make a painting of it, and how would art very much? I taught art for a few years, and I can remember coming once to my father, and there were 3 paintings I'd done of some of the Welsh mountains in Eryri, Snowdonia. And I was rather proud of them. They looked very nice. They were watercolours, very special paper, a paper really that does your work for you. But I liked them. And I didn't show everything to my father because he would always be straight. And I wasn't always ready for that. And I said, look at these, Dad. And he was quiet. And now it was never a good sign when my dad was quiet. Looks over here. Whenever will you learn the value of shadows? What do? they emphasize the light parts. And a shadow is not black, is it? A shadow is a color of what casts a shadow in a deeper shade. And then he did it. Well, they were totally transformed. So in our lives sometimes, you know, if a person has never suffered, and some people are like that, they've never been ill, they've never been worried, they've never been short of money, but some of them are rather cold. They're correct, but they're cold. But a person who has suffered understands suffering and understands other people. And there is a gentleness in them because they know what it means to be low in spirit. And they know what it means for God to lift them. Caleb went through that. He was with these people, and they were dreadful. 45 years in the wilderness. Yet they were God's people. It is a story of endurance and of perseverance. Here comes one of the 5 points of Calvinism, the perseverance of the saints. Who perseveres? People make a mistake. They say, I'll persevere. Oh no, God perseveres with us. And that brings a response in us that we persevere with him. We do not take the credit. He perseveres, and we respond by persevering. Now the rejection of his word, of Caleb's word, to all appearances, it was an exciting time. After many years in the wilderness, they had arrived. They had arrived. But they're not the same people. Only Caleb and Joshua are the only two that could cross the Jordan and enter the promised land. All the others died in the wilderness. But their children inherited the land of Canaan. So it shows you there really that you cannot play with God. Now Joshua was old and stricken in years, and the Lord said unto him, Thou art old and stricken in years, and there remaineth yet very much land to be possessed. Come on, Joshua, you're old, and your body's old, you're old, but there is much to be done. There's a great deal to be done. And then we have in chapter 14, verse 1, and these are the countries which the children of Israel inherited in the land of Canaan, which Eleazar the priest and Joshua the son of Nun and the heads of the fathers of the tribes of the children of Israel determined to inheritance to them. Now, how did they do it? It is very unusual, but you can imagine really, wouldn't there be some argument? I want that bit. We're a bigger tribe, we want that bit. It would be terrible. So they decided to do it by lots. So that it'd be a kind of indifferent judge. That is what you will have. Except Caleb. He's a very determined man. So Caleb appears, himself an old man. Then the children of Judah came unto Joshua in Gilgal, and Caleb the son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite said unto him, Thou knowest the thing that the Lord said unto Moses, the man of God, concerning me, thee, in Kadesh Barnea. You see, they came very near to Canaan, very near at one time. And they sent out spies, and Caleb and Joshua went together, and they brought a good report, but honest. They said, it is a fair land, milk and honey, strong cities. We are able to take it. But the others said, we'll be destroyed. There are giants there. And they put fear into the hearts of the people. Well, once fear is there, you can't do anything. You know, in the days that we are living in, who'd ever thought of the religious situation that we are in? I mean, we had not seen these other people before, had we? We had not seen them. And now we're in the midst of so many different organizations and different religions too, so many different. I've not been unkind to them. I'm saying that they are different, but they do not reach God. And we could be afraid easily with the power that they have and the method that they use. We could be afraid. Fear can grip you. Fear can terrify you. Fear can put you totally out of action. But not so with Caleb. And Caleb still the people at that time, it was a place called Cardiff, still the people at that time, and he said, let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it. But he is very disappointed. The others go contrary to him, and they prevail. And they spake unto all the company of the children of Israel, saying, the land which we pass through to search it is an exceeding good land. If the Lord delights in us, then he will bring us into this land and give us a land which is flowed with milk and honey. Now then, the people do not respond, and they provoke God. But Moses prayed for them. And he said, God said to him, they have provoked me. I brought them to this land. They have provoked me. Surely they shall not see the land which I swear unto their fathers, neither shall any of them that provoke me see it. But my servant Caleb, because he had another spirit with him, and hath followed me fully, I'll bring him to the land whereunto he went, and his seed shall possess it. And further on he says he includes Joshua as well. So when you think of it, although they were forgiven, they still had to face the punishment, not to enter the promised land. After having suffered in Egypt, after coming out and all this, yet they're not going to possess the land. But their children would, and only two would be around, Joshua and Caleb. They give an honest report. So they had grieved the Spirit. Caleb felt deeply the rejection of the report, and God commends him. But my servant Caleb, because he had another spirit with him, and hath followed me fully, he has the approval of God. Then the resolution of Caleb: observe the testimony of 45 years in the wilderness. He arrived in Canaan, and Joshua, and in Joshua 14 verse 6, thou knowest the thing that the Lord said unto Moses, the man of God, concerning me and thee in Kadesh Barnea. Remember that. 40 years old was I when Moses sent me from Kadesh Barnea to espy out the land, and I brought him word again as it was in mine heart. He gives his testimony. Nevertheless, my brethren that went up with me made the hearts of the people melt, but I wholly followed the Lord my God. Now in the wilderness, can you just recall in your mind how heartbroken when they would hear the people of Israel grumbling about the food, grumbling about the water, grumbling, and then a terrible, terrible scene in Mount Sinai. I mean, it's so shocking. When Moses had gone up to Mount Sinai and to receive the 10 Commandments, and what were they doing? They made a golden calf, and Aaron helped them. And he carved it. He was to be in charge. And worse than that, Even the pagans around were disgusted with him. They were naked and behaving in the most appalling fashion. They said, oh, this man, Moses, he's left us, he won't come down. More or less, and we'll enjoy ourselves. But when he came down, we here see something of the wrath of God. What do people like Caleb feel? He must have felt with Joshua. There would be some people, because they did follow, who was on the Lord's side. But how did they feel when they saw the majority of the people behaving in such an appalling fashion? When you think of some godly people in our land, when they see how Wales has deteriorated and what is allowed and what they do as compared to what God did for them at one time. I wholly followed the Lord my God through thick and thin, through difficult times, through impossible times. I wholly followed the Lord my God. Now, what about you and myself? Illnesses. How do you feel? Or bad news? There's a phrase that always comes to me, thus far. I don't know what that'll be as the time goes on. Thus far. I can remember when I was given 6 months to live, I said in my heart, I said it aloud, the Lord is good. The Lord is good. And he knoweth them that trust in him. And he's a stronghold in the day of trouble. Is that your response? Whatever it is, or you're going through very difficult times, and you may have another kind of phrase, but that's been mine. The Lord is good. And because the Lord is good, whatever he does to me, whatever I have to go through, will be good. Because the Lord is good. And for that reason, we will follow the Lord our God all the days of our lives. Sanctification is that gracious and continuous operation of the Holy Spirit. So what we are seeing here is a story of a man in a very difficult time, in a very lonely time for him, going through the process of sanctification. Now, justification is that which Christ does for us in redemption. We know the account of how it happens. Our sin is imputed to him, and he pays the penalty, and his righteousness is imputed to us. And when you come to that, you have to divide the word up. Imputed righteousness is that if I have believed through the gift of faith and repented, I am robed in the life of Christ, washed in the blood of Christ, robed in the life of Christ. That's imputed righteousness. But there's something else. Imparted righteousness. Like a coin, like that. Here's imputed righteousness. The head of the king is there. Here is imparted. And if there's nothing on the imparted side, neither is there anything on the other side. The imparted righteousness is our progression in our Christian life, wholly following the Lord our God. So we persevere. Perseverance, then, is that continuous operation of the Holy Spirit in the believer, by which the work of some grace, sorry, I'm missing this word here, by which the work of divine grace that is begun in the heart is continued and brings it to completion. Oh yes, that's right. So the work of grace then, by the strength of God, starts in us and we move. Now then, suppose you say, yes, I've had imputed righteousness. Yes, I know what justification is. But I don't see why I should have to walk this way. These people, they say they are the Lord's. Why can't I enjoy a little with them? Well, there is no choice. There is no choice here. we must be determined. He gives us grace to persevere. So he's saying, when you know a situation that is distressing to you, persevere. Trust me, for I do all things well. Trust me. And then if we can respond and say, Lord, I will trust thee all the way. By thy grace, I will not fail thee. And so we go on, which is a wonderful thing. And we have to be determined. Why? Because we have heaven in view. How much do you want heaven? May I give an illustration now of a member of our family who will remain nameless. He was at the time, or she was at the time about 10 or 11 years of age, and wanted a bike. Now, in my view, bikes were banned in Cardiff. We'd come from a little country village. And I felt, not good. I haven't allowed it for the others, and he is not having it. So it went on. I want a bike. So I said, if you say that word once again, you're in trouble. And he said, I would like one of those, you know. I made 2 circles. I was in no mistake of what he meant. What did I do? I went and bought a bike. I mean, what could you do? What could you do? But that's perseverance. I'll go on asking till I get it. And we go on living till we arrive in glory. Now, where are you going? Are you going full throttle to hell? Are you limping to hell? Are you glancing at heaven and going the other way? Or are you saying, no, glory, glory, glory. Heaven for me. All the way. Heaven for me. Determination like that. He that endureth to the end shall be saved. Now he stands before Joshua and told him, yet I am as strong this day as I was in the day that Moses sent me. As my strength was then, even so is my strength now, both to go out and to come in God's strength. He said, whatever condition I'll be in some way or another, I will continue to do what he wants me to do. I will continue to do that. In the light of all this, now therefore, give me this mountain. This is a very emotional phrase. Now therefore, give me this mountain. Now what is the mountain? Hebron therefore became the inheritance of Caleb, the son of Jephunneh. They had some terrible people there, and they had to have great fights to overcome it. But they persevered, and they became the owners and the rulers of Hebron. But what I've got here is this. We've all got a mountain. Let's say daughter or son or father or mother. And we go to God and say, God, I have a mountain. I cannot climb it on my own. And so we bring it to God and we persevere because we want that mountain very much. God, we have many promises. We have had many indications. But at the moment, it seems as if the mountain's getting higher. Lord, give me this mountain. One of the people who started the Forward Movement in Wales, where Moran worked many years, opening small missions and so on in this part of Cardiff. And he was one of them. He said this, one of the leaders. He was going for a walk in Sophia Gardens, and his boy was playing truant. and he was in the garden, and he saw his father coming. So he hid, and he saw his father talking. Then he listened to his father, and this is what his father was saying: Lord, give me whales, or I die. Wonderful. Give me whales, or I die. Could you pray that tonight? Give me Wales. It's only a small country. Let's start with a small one. Give me Wales, or I die. Or you can have your own circumstances, whatever they may be. I must possess this land. It has been promised me. It has been promised me. At Cardiff, it's been promised me. Give me this mountain, Lord. Now we have a prayer meeting in order to overcome mountains. And we are surrounded in Cardiff with massive, massive mountains. If you tell me there's nothing to pray for, look around. Look around. You can be as near as you like, as far as you like. You will find mountains that you can pray for. Sometimes it's a mountain in your own life, something you're not overcoming. Lord, give me this mountain so that I can pray for other mountains as well. What kind of people should we be? Men and women who wholly, totally, completely follow the Lord their God. Now, may I ask with humility, are we doing that? Sometimes my reading, I'm sure yours too, gets a bit skimpy if you're in a hurry. Why are we in a hurry with God? We're not in a hurry with other things, but with God, I pray later on. I'll read the chapters later on. Those things, what do we put first? Do we put God first? And in doing that, we qualify to pray for the overcoming of mountains. Right.